You know, Joyce, marriage has really changed me.
Yeah, changed me as well.
How's that?
I am no longer afraid of death. I don't believe this.
You can't beat it. You know, waking up next to a warm body every morning, and you don't have to give her a lift home.
Dirty, rotten little sneak.
Who?
Dipping his sticky, grubby paws in my purse.
What, you mean a pickpocket?
No, my husband.
What's he done? Pinchy Weight Watchers stars and stuck them in his book?
He's borrowed 10 quid without asking.
Well, not to worry. Maybe you caught him on your security video.
That was my money.
Joyce, this is your husband.
Jonathan, this is business.
Well, he must have needed it.
What for? I give him his outdoor money.
Outdoor money?
Well, for lunch and beer and whatnot. He's overspent down the pub again. For 3 pints of that organic beer, we could buy a flymo.
Hang on, Joyce. Let me get this straight. You give Alec pocket money?
And what's wrong with that? I index link it.
Well, I hope Sheila and I never sink to your level. We look upon marriage as a partnership based on total trust and shared responsibility.
Grow a beard, Jonathan.
Okay, so what's it about?
Everyone knows it's about finding each other's weak spots and coming out top dog.
Well, all I can say is we have a mature and adult attitude towards money. Sheila and I both pay the bills, and we don't have any problem.
Jonathan, I've got a bone to pick with you in private.
OK, Sheila, he's all yours.
Joyce, don't you know the meaning of the word private?
Well, there's only the 3 of us.
All right, come on, we'll go outside.
Right.
Thank you.
You've seen Mr. Copeland this morning? He's bouncing around like a dog with 2 tails.
He's always like that if one of his patients lives through the night.
Especially when it's a private one.
Private patients are not a joking matter, Giles.
There's no time for this. We've got patients waiting.
Well, some of them have been waiting for 10 years. They can cling on for another 5 minutes. I want this thrashed out now.
I wonder if I should take a paracetamol now.
George, I thought you might be interested in this missive I received this morning.
Not another of your patients putting you in their will.
No, although one does live in hope. No, actually, it's a small communique from a publisher apropos my poetry.
Poetry? I'd have thought you had enough rejection slips peddling that frightful novel of yours.
My novel, like an actor, is resting. And not being content to let grass grow under my feet, I dispatched a volume of my verse to a few literary houses.
Michael used to write poetry,
It was pretty good, too.
but he had to give it up.
What happened?
The cleaners kept scrubbing it off.
I dabble in poetry.
Yes, quite, but the upshot is that an eminent publisher is bursting to sign me up.
Good Lord.
Well, you needn't sound so astonished. I'm quite justifiably on the threshold of being a man in print.
That's wonderful.
No. The point is, I harbour hopes in that direction myself. Only the other week, I dashed off a ditty in answer to an ad in the Lancet.
I saw that. It was for doctors who had served in the forces.
As I bravely did. There's some retired clap doctor is compiling an anthology entitled Doctors on the Warpath.
Dashed off a ditty? I'm talking about poetry, not amateur scribblings.
Are you implying that Chaps to the Front is scribblings?
Chaps to the front. The closest you ever got to the front was Skegness.
You pompous ass! If I was 10 years younger...
Look, it's not worth falling out over.
Michael's right. Not over some stupid poem.
Stupid? Stupid? That is precisely the sort of crass remark one would expect from a non-artiste.
Cheryl knits.
Did I say stupid poem, Mr. Copeland? I meant work of art. I wish I could hear it.
Really? Well, actually, I was thinking of giving a small recitation later on in the restaurant.
Were you? Oh, we'd love to come, wouldn't we, Mr. Hopewin?
Would we?
Splendid. Giles?
Yes?
Oh, marvellous. 1 o'clock then.
No, I
Thanks a bundle, sister.
Anytime.
Jonathan, do you know what this is?
I'm not Doris Stokes, you know.
It's the final demand for our phone bill.
Oh, is that all? The bill's in my office. I'm going to pay it at lunchtime.
I have never had a final demand in my life. I can't have the world thinking I don't pay my bills.
The world? Oh, yeah, I'll bet this is causing a right old rumpus in Bangladesh.
Not paying bills on time is the start of a long, slippery slope. I'm not having you dragging me down it into that gutter.
Sheila, everybody waits to pay until they get the final demand. My dad didn't pay for my cot till I was 12. And even then, the cheque bounced.
That's different. They say your family was quite poor.
Not half. Although I do remember we had meat on a Sunday. It was Sunday, the 25th of March,
Jonathan! I gave you the cheque for my half of the bill weeks ago. All you had to do was write yours out, send it off. Why haven't you?
I thought you might want the operating rosters. Everything all right?
Sheila, I resent being interrogated like this, but for your information, I am still scrutinising it.
Scrutinising it? What for? It's a phone bill, not the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Oh, I think that's right. You know, I was once charged the international rate on a call to Lowestoft.
Joyce, haven't you got some paper clips that need untangling?
You can scoff, Sheila, but as my dad used to say, a penny saved is a penny earned.
Stand back, Joyce. It's Yorkshire man. My God. Look at the size of these gallstones. You think Wimpy's have been fly tipping?
Never mind that. Look at the size of this phone bill.
Jonathan, just pay it.
I mean, take this call. 40 minutes. I've never spoken to anybody for 40 minutes. Have you, Giles?
Pardon?
Have you spoken to anybody for 40 minutes?
I haven't spoken to anyone in the last hour.
Jonathan, I do not appreciate you discussing our domestic affairs over the operating table. Now, will you please give it a rest?
Yeah, you're right.
Thank you.
Alarm calls? For this price, I'd rather train the cat to pee on my head.
Does it? I'm sorry to air this in public, Jonathan, but I did not marry you to watch you pore over every bill like some giant sleuth.
Did anyone see Blind Date last night?
Babcock's.
You check your bills, don't you, Cheryl?
Yes, but I'm not still checking them when the summons arrives.
Summons?
Oh, for Pete's sake.
When
Look!
does the summons arrive?
Just before the bailiffs.
Look!
Bailiffs?
Look, Sheila, there's no need
What
to
do the
worry.
bailiffs do?
Sledgehammer your door down.
Look, just before they cart away your furniture.
Furniture?
Look!
I am the director of surgery. What if upstairs gets wind of this?
Gets wind of what?
How can she run her department's budget if she can't even manage her own?
Well, I don't know what you're worried about. Open a joint account. Then you can pay all your bills without bothering Dr. Hassan.
Now, look.
Thank you, sister. That is an excellent idea. You know, a few more of these and we could gravel the front path. Anything to save a few pennies?
Do you mind? Do you mind? Would it be too much to ask for some quiet?
Oh, sorry, got to go to lunch.
Don't you dare. You roped us into this. What is it? Limericks?
You know a lot about poetry, Mr. Hopewin.
Compared with Neil Copeland, yes. I was introduced to Browning while he was learning the alphabet.
Oh, I didn't know you knew Browning.
My dear woman, Browning died in 1889.
Well, at least you were young enough to get over it then.
Really, I cannot perform under these circumstances. Anyone who hasn't the courtesy to remain quiet can leave. Sit down! Icarus Incarnate, a portrayal of man's struggle to reach new heights. Volume 1.
Volume 1? You mean there's more?
My publishers are demanding it, George. I have no choice. Hooded eyes scrape the sky. Fingers splay in the wind. Neck craned and beakish nose. Is it Icarus or a peregrine?
Giles.
Toes strained against the earth. 10 mighty talons manifest.
May one ask how many more pages there are of this dribble?
Icarus is a poem of epic proportions, George, not some back-of-an-envelope job. 52.
52? Good grief! Giles, have you got a paracetamol?
I think Sister Patching's idea is eminently sensible, don't you, Jonathan?
No, I don't. It's my money.
And it's my house you're living in. Is that the way you want to view things? Couples usually divide things up when they get divorced, not married.
Sheila, I've always handled my own money.
Oh, and And what do you do when you need it? Go into the woods and dig it up?
I just think certain areas are my territory and should be kept separate.
Well, maybe you'd like to kick off with a separate bed and a spare room.
Well, I don't care if that's what you want. Live in a separate house if it stops you badgering me. In fact, a separate country might not be a bad idea.
At least I might get some peace.
What is the matter with you? What do you think I'm going to do with your money? Buy a bottlenose dolphin?
Sheila, I am not putting my hard-earned cash into a joint account. And that is final.
Oh. Over deserts, over seas, the birdman flaps in the moonbeam. Reality dawns like a golden spear, shafting the sky, piercing his dreams. Wings twisted, he plummets and falls, spiralling down like a whirlpool.
Carry on, Neil.
Hitting the earth, he squawks and squawks. Icarus, Icarus, you feathered fool!
Oh, don't tell me we're out of milk again.
You by the coffee machine.
Are you talking to me?
There is a recital in progress. Are you totally myopic?
And this is a rest room. It's for resting in, not for doing bird impersonation.
Unconscionable! No wonder Van Gogh cut off his ear. Pearls before swine.
Is that it?
Look, there's only one way to settle this. Those of you who wish me to continue, kindly raise your hands. Ah. I understand. Thank you. Thank you all so very much. Philistines!
Who rattled his cage?
You did. And I believe I speak for all of us in saying we're eternally grateful.
Well, maybe now we can get back to normal, unless anyone else has a poem.
Well, actually, Giles told me he won a prize at school for one of his poems.
No, really. Sure, I couldn't.
Of course you could.
No, it was just a silly little thing.
Come on, Giles.
Oh, all right, if you really insist.
Good Lord, haven't we suffered enough?
Life, by Giles Peake. Is life all sorrow? Is life all pain? Is life just one long dying game? If I were a sparrow winging the heavens, would I get hit by a Boeing 747? If I were a hedgehog on a spring run, would I get flattened on the M1? But, being a man, not beast nor fowl, will my end come with a blocked bowel? Is it all tears?
Sorry, Giles. Carry on.
Come on, Joyce, you can have one, surely.
No. I'm being very strict with myself. No biscuits, no sugar in my tea.
You know, sometimes I wonder why I married Jonathan. I mean, we made a vow to share everything, and so far all he's given me is his washing.
You're not having second thoughts.
Well, maybe I was too impetuous, marrying after a whirlwind romance.
Whirlwind? It dragged on for 5 years. You both limped along as if you were waiting for hip replacements.
Yes, but was it wise for the director of surgery to marry the head of anaesthetics?
Well, you could have had Derek in the mortuary. He was crazy over you.
Joyce, working down there, Derek is crazy over anything that moves.
I know. I only have to blink and he's over that slab.
What I'm saying is that Jonathan and I are both high-powered people, used to running our own departments without question. How can we possibly agree about the running of a marriage?
They didn't have any rhubarb, so I got you 3 macaroons and a walnut whip.
Just wanted to see if I could resist them.
Was my suggestion yesterday about a joint account helpful?
About as helpful as a 4-foot pessary.
You ask me, Jonathan's hiding something to do with his money.
What do you mean?
Well, he may have expenses he doesn't want her to know about. I read in Reader's Digest that if a husband isn't spending money on his wife, he's spending it elsewhere.
You mean...
What do you think?
Well, I think you could be right.
Listen to me. Jonathan is not an adulterer. He is so faithful that if Sharon Stone leapt on him, he'd do it for GBH. And if either of you say anything to the contrary, that walnut whip will go in where it's supposed to come out.
The secret of marriage, old boy, is to keep control and not let the wife run amok with the purse strings.
George, who are you kidding? We all know Grace drives the bus down your garage.
Utter rot. Of course, you've got to give her a few little power areas.
Like what?
Well, cooking. Obviously the cooking.
And?
And, holidays, savings, bills, a few credit cards, the joint kitty, who you see, where you go, that kind of thing.
And what does that leave you?
Well, answering the door, changing the light bulb, worming the cat.
Well, it's nice to see you're on top of things, George.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't believe in all this territory rubbish. Cheryl and I contribute to a kitty, and we both run it.
Well, that's not going to happen with me. What I do with my money is my business.
Morning.
Giles, you're not going to give a reprise of your dreadful poem.
No.
Oh, waffle on about kitties.
Sorry?
Well, I bet you and Debbie have a kitty. Every other Herbert seems to.
We did think about it. Debbie hated the idea of a litter tray.
Oh, I believe that woman you call your wife is looking for you.
What for?
No idea. Oh, I did just catch a shriek about unpaid bills, rivers of blood. Any help?
Pete's sake!
If I were you, old boy, I'd give her a severe talking to.
No, you wouldn't. If you were me, you'd be hiding out in the Shetlands. And even then, you'd be trying to blend in with the sheep.
I think that was a little uncalled for.
Quite. Totally accurate, of course. Oh, by the way, George, have you a moment? I think I have a spot of good news.
You're giving up poetry?
Don't be ghost, George. Actually, it's another letter from my publisher. I was saving opening it till we were together. I know you like to keep abreast of my little successes.
Snap.
I wonder what further triumphs this dispatch portends. Perhaps a reading tour of the Americas? Maybe an invitation from Desert Island Discs?
Yes, far be it from me to crow, and that's not my style, but,
Yes, shall we peep? Dear Mr. Copeland, further to our letter of the 15th regarding your deeply insightful and exquisite verse. Deeply insightful. Exquisite. We are writing to inform you that the cost of... What? Must be some mistake. Are they mad? The treacherous turncoats, the low-down, backstabbing snakes in the grass.
Bad news, old boy.
They want me to pay for the publishing of Icarus Incarnate.
Oh, that old trick.
What old trick?
Vanity publishing. They lure some talentless nobody, no offence intended, hook them on seeing their gibberish in print, then reel them in and whack them over the gills with the awful truth.
This isn't happening.
I thought you might be a touch interested in my letter. It's from the publishers of Doctors on the Warpath. They're absolutely raring to include Chaps to the Front in their anthology.
George, please, I should like to be alone.
Oh. Cross, old boy. For see, my friend goes shaking and white. I've turned, it appears, his day to night. Rhyming, don't you know?
Mr. Copeland, is something wrong?
Will you leave me alone? I'm not in the mood for tittle-tattle.
Tittle-tattle? You mean you've heard?
Heard? Heard what?
If Cheryl Patchen goes on spreading any rumours about Dr. Haslam and another woman, I want you to know there's not a shred of truth in it.
What? So if Joyce spreads any muck about a fancy woman, stamp on it. Mrs. Sabatini doesn't want it getting out.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite clear on this. Are you saying Mrs. Sabatini has a fancy woman and is now gay?
No, Giles. Dr. Haslam.
Dr. Haslam is gay?
You're in big trouble, Cheryl. I'm off home now, Sheila, and don't worry, I've crushed all those rumours. Bye.
Night, Joyce.
Good night, Joyce.
Night, Jonathan.
Are you ready, lass?
Jonathan, I demand to know why you keep stonewalling about this joint account.
I have my reasons.
Have you really?
Look, Sheila, we've got a good marriage, haven't we? I mean, we're good friends, and we can't complain about, you know... Why spoil it over this?
Because, as my mother used to say, there's more to marriage than 4 bare legs in a bed.
6 bare legs if you're lucky. Look, why can't you just trust me?
Because I'm not the one standing there like a cat hiding a kipper.
How do you mean?
There's something you're not telling me.
Well, some things are personal.
How personal? Jonathan, what are you doing with your money? You keeping another woman? Oh.
How'd you find out? Or do you want a divorce?
We've only just got married. How could you?
I don't know. It just happened.
Who is she?
She's a wonderful, warm human being for whom I have the very greatest respect.
Who?
The cook in the canteen.
Cook in the canteen. She's got legs like a logging elephant.
Well, I like 'em big.
Are you trying to give me a heart attack?
When she wrapped those legs round me, I nearly had one, I tell you.
Jonathan, one of these days I'll swing for you.
Well, I'm game for anything. So you're right. How could you even think such a thing?
Oh. Jonathan, it's time for the truth.
All right. If you must know, I helped to support my brother.
Oh, you haven't got a brother.
Yes, I have. I've just never mentioned him to you.
Well, have you got a brother? Why didn't you invite him to the wedding?
We don't get on.
I didn't get on with my mother, but I would have invited her if she hadn't been dead. Anyway, if you don't get on, why are you giving him money?
Sheila is stuck in a wheelchair. It costs him a packet to lead anything approaching a normal life. And everybody's too blinkered to give him a decent job.
Why didn't you tell me all this?
Are you supposed to know absolutely everything about me?
The big stuff, yes. I don't need to know that you had a verruca when you were 6 or that you once played yum-yum in the Mikado. But you have to learn to share things with me. I mean, all these years as a bachelor have made you incredibly selfish.
I am not selfish. You just coughed up £21.50 for that blasted beach loo cover and pedestal mat. You can accuse me of a lot of things, but being tight is not one of them.
Jonathan, you are so tight you can't break wind without the aid of a crowbar.
Now, you listen to me.
I'm talking about not opening up. I'm talking about shutting me out to the extent that I don't even know my own brother-in-law's name.
Yeah, all right, I'm sorry. It's just that I'm not used to automatically sharing my innermost concerns with another person.
What's his name?
David.
There you are. Wasn't so difficult, was it?
Well, no. But Sheila, you can't expect me to get the hang of this straight away, but I'll do my best.
That's all I'm asking for.
Now, how much are we going to put into this joint account?
Half our salaries?
OK. But if that's the case, I'm treble-checking our expenses from now on. Starting with this phone bill.